Hey guys, Bubba here at the BubbaNews, all in one word, all in one news. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm going to try to keep this video a little shorter, and I'm just going to go over with the news that's going on. And that's why I titled this tonight, What's Going On? Because there is so much going on between Israel, Turkey, the Houthis, Iran. Oh my goodness. It's hard to keep up, honestly, with everything that's going on. But let's just get started. I'm going to start off first with some Israel news. You guys might know him, Itamar Ben-Gvir. Well, 2 months ago, he resigned when as the minister of the national security in Israel. He resigned because Netanyahu went to have the ceasefire with Gaza. So because of that, he resigned. Well, yesterday, he came back. And the Israeli government has approved him to be reappointed as Minister of National Security. So now that he's okay with Netanyahu going back to war, and now that Netanyahu has gone back to war, he's ready to jump back on board and be part of this party. So, and he wants to destroy Hamas and bring back the hostages. But Netanyahu has until March 31st to pass the Israeli budget. So Ben-Gvir defended the firing of the Shin Bet director here in the past few days to be able to return to this cabinet. Well, he got it. And actually, the stuff with the Shin Bet, he was there watching the attacks last night with everything going on. So he's still around, but there's all kinds of stuff because there's protests planned for tomorrow with a return to war, of course. And then the trial against Netanyahu has been canceled right now because there's all kinds of things going on internally in Israel that a lot of people don't know about with Netanyahu, and they want him out. But anyway, I'm going to keep going because this got crazy. Whoops, let's start over here. Philippians 4:7, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This is what I wanted to focus on too, because Israel's preparing for a Hamas-style battle to begin in Judea and Samaria, aka the West Bank. Netanyahu today, he visited the elite police force there in the Judea and Samaria, and the police unit there. It's an elite police unit putting a stop to terrorism, and they're there to prevent another October 7th style attack. But instead of coming from Gaza, coming from the West Bank area of Judea and Samaria. So, this is important at any time, but it's especially important at this time because while we are waging a fierce war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip, we are aware of the possibility that a larger and more powerful front could open up here in Judea and Samaria. This is what Netanyahu said earlier today. So they met at their undercover base, and he was giving those guys all kinds of kudos and getting them ready for basically going in and taking care of a lot more terrorists there in the West Bank. This is coming up big with Israel's fragmentation of Gaza. Israel today went into the Netzarim corridor. And I'm going to scroll in here. Right here where it says Netzarim in the blue with the U.S.-built pier in the water and entry point gate 96. All these areas in the dark orange up to North Gaza, here in the central, and all along the outside border, all the way down to the Rafah crossing in the Philadelphia corridor is a buffer zone. So they're going to start moving more and more people into Gaza City there in the north, Khan Yunis down south. But now that the IDF has split off North and South Gaza there by taking over the Netzarim corridor, oh man, this is an access of that Israel's taken back over, and it's going to prevent the Gazans from the north to moving to the south, as well as the terrorists, and vice versa, those from the south moving north. So Israel's implementing this five fingers kind of a scenario, splitting it up, and they're going to start a big attack here soon in northern Gaza. Let's keep going. What's next over here, Bubba? Okay, let's do over here. Whoopsie. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. This is the USS Truman today. And it's now 480 well, it's actually 480 miles from Yemen, where the Houthis are. And they're getting closer because they were further up there towards the V, where it splits off there, the Red Sea, in the upper left-hand corner, where it looks like bunny ears or something. But that's where the USS Truman is. And, it's getting closer. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because the closer this gets to Yemen, the better chance of being hit by the Houthis is increased drastically. So I'm going to keep going. Trump, he sent out that letter to Iran, and he's basically given Iran a 2-month deadline for a new nuclear deal or else. And some Iranian officials are believing that, caving into Trump's demands is actually more dangerous than an actual American or Israeli attack. Iran is playing with fire. Because an attack on Iran's nuclear sites is actually preferable, they believe, because they don't think the U.S. and Israel can pull it off, to an actual compromise deal with the United States. These guys, the Ayatollahs, they are so proud. But basically, he gave them a 2-month deadline. So he said the chances of a U.S. or Israeli strike on nuclear sites will increase dramatically if Tehran rejects this U.S. timeline. So we're going to have to watch this because their nuclear program has really advanced over the past 4 years, and they're closer than ever to producing a nuke, if they don't already have one. They've got enough 60% enriched uranium. They have enough for 6 nuclear bombs. And as of, if enriched to the 90%. So it says, that this 2-month window will probably end sometime between the May 1st and May 15th timeline. So the clock is definitely ticking down. And Jeremiah 49 verses 34 to 37 is definitely in view right now. Trump's letter to Khamenei, is it a nuclear showdown or a diplomatic bluff? This ain't a bluff. It reads like a Hollywood thriller, an ultimatum, a deadline, and a nuclear gamble. Sign the deal in 2 months or else, is basically Trump's message to Iran. And it feels like a mafia warning of all things. And basically, White House has told Iran, take the offer or else. Brace for impact. But the United States has also briefed Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel about everything getting ready to happen. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. That's very, very, very true. And I'm going to play this here. But, the IDF rolled into Gaza today. This is when they sliced through Gaza, basically like a hot knife going through butter. But Israel Defense Minister Katz has declared that the Air Force strikes have been just the first step and that Gaza will pay the full price. You haven't seen anything yet. Katz warns that Israel will unleash unseen levels of military power. There's basically not much left to destroy. But, he's promising a fresh round of evacuations from combat zones. So it's going to be hard to find out where all these people are going to end up going. And Katz echoes Trump, basically. He basically said, return the hostages, remove Hamas, and we might leave you Gaza for good. Translation, either surrender or you guys are getting ready to vanish. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. I just wanted to point these out, too, because this is Hamas's, the Philistines. They've got some Bible verses against them. Isaiah 11:14, but they, the Israeli Air Force, shall fly down upon the shoulder of the Philistines, Hamas, towards the west. And there's a continuing prophecy that goes into Jordan with Moab, Edom, Ammon. But here's another one. Ezekiel 25:15 to 17. Thus says the Lord God, because the Philistines dealt vengefully and took vengeance with a spiteful heart to destroy because of the old hatred or the eternal enmity. Therefore, thus says the Lord God, I will stretch out my hand against the Philistines, Hamas, and I will destroy the remnant of basically the Gaza Mediterranean sea coast. I will destroy the remnant of the sea coast. I will execute great vengeance on them with furious rebukes, and they shall know that I am the Lord when I lay my vengeance on them. Guys, prophecy is getting ready to unfold right in front of our eyes. I mean, will ultimately destroying Hamas and many civilians in Gaza bring about the surrounding Arab enemies to want to attack Israel in the coming Psalm 83 war? I mean, if not, what will be the final catalyst to bring this war to fruition? Guys, this is getting crazy. Let's keep going. Yeah, we're not going to show this one. Actually, I guess I can. But this is more strikes tonight by the United States on the Houthis in Yemen. And, all these places were targeted. And the American airstrikes targeted Houthi missile platforms and weapons warehouses across Yemen. There was over 20 strikes tonight that's going on. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. The U.S. says a bridge proposal is on the table for a Gaza ceasefire, but this window is closing fast. So the United States State Department said today that there is still a bridge proposal on the table that would extend the ceasefire in Gaza. But that opportunity is closing fast. I mean, yeah, it's crazy town. But, and there, I posted a great article, too. I'm going to segue here to Israel Radar. They had a great article on the Hamas. because Hamas has been booby-trapping, setting up Gaza. But Hamas's ranks are, they're back up to 25,000 people. But this is what they do. Because they're not getting raw materials, they're taking their piping from the water. That's crazy. Because of the raw materials, they're taking, they're searching for remaining rockets and anti-tank missiles that have already been fired, under the ruins of homes. And they're going to continue to use the piping from the water systems to build these rockets. And that's what they're doing. The IDF says that Hamas and the Islamic Jihad have basically fired all the rockets. Very little remains. Limited attacks are still possible, but I have a feeling Hamas still has some other stuff just waiting to be done. And who knows? Because right now they're not really attacking Israel yet, because Israel just got started. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But Marco Rubio's right. In the last 18 months, the Houthis have struck or attacked the United States Navy 174 times and attacked commercial shipping 145 times. But guys, there's something big going, and forgive me for always, when I segue, I end up dipping, and that's what my wife says. She calls it when we switch lanes, and I just change subjects, and forgive me, that's just my mind. It's going a million miles a minute. But next I'm going to switch to Turkey. I've been watching today. There's been all kinds of riots forming all day today in Turkey. Mass protests erupted in Turkey after all the arrest of Istanbul's opposition mayor. So what Erdogan did is he arrested the opposition mayor. He had his college degree pulled, because you have to have a college degree to run in politics. And he arrested him and like 100 other people. So there's been a mass protest today. Especially tonight. It was nuts. This is totally political. All day long. This is political. So, I'll keep an eye on Turkey, guys, because this is nuts. This is really nuts. We're going to have to keep an eye on them. This is the mayor dude who was arrested. And days before he was due to be selected by his party to be a future presidential candidate. So this is just footage from my buddies there. The Houthi attacks going on. What's neat is you get to see all the different weapons on each and every one of them. It's really neat. The next clip is see there's some of the weapons and whatnot, but each time you see a different plane, they have different weapons, it appears like, for different sources. So, like right there's a light weapon. But yeah, this is the nighttime one. It's really cool too. The way these things take off and light up the whole night sky. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, let's keep going. Don't mean to. This is for my Navy buddies who get a chance to watch it. So, you guys, thank you so much for your service. I'm praying for you guys over there right now. A drone was shot down tonight by the Houthis. This has basically been the 16th MQ-9 drone that's been shot down since October of 2023 with our war and our battles and fightings against the Houthis. But it was the second one that's been shot down since Trump has been in office, which is really ironic. But yeah, these riots in Ankara, Turkey tonight are getting really chaotic, and the people want Erdogan out. So Erdogan has locked down Turkey, Istanbul, Ankara, Izmir for 4 days, and he set up military zones, cuts internet access after arresting the opposition leader. So the protests are spreading, and people are starting to ask, is this going to be the downfall of Erdogan? He's the leader here in the NATO, with Turkey being part of that whole shenanigans. So, this came out crazy town too. This was, besides all the chaos in Turkey, the Council of the League of Arab States, at the conclusion of its emergency session at the delegate level, called for financial and political support for the Arab plan. Okay, so they want to rebuild Gaza. Got it. But it also called for a ban on economic and military dealings with the Israeli occupation forces. Translation: the Arab League is now calling for a total ban on all economic and military dealings with Israel. The Arab League is huge, and it contains every single member plus others who are part of the Psalm 83 war. I mean, you can almost feel the alliances that have formed against Israel just literally getting stronger by the day. This is getting crazy. This is why I wanted to do this video, what's going on, because there's so much going on. And just tonight, around 10 p.m. Eastern time, from Jerusalem down there in the south all the way to where it's covered up, Tel Aviv, there was a humongous rocket attack from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv area. But what this was another hypersonic ballistic missile that was launched from Yemen. Let's keep going. Here's the missile launch. I don't know if you can hear this, but this is wild. Only in Israel you will have air raid sirens overlapping a mosque's call for Muslim prayers with an anti-missile interceptor flying in the background. The launcher, this thing going up right there, that's the Arrow 3 that is going up to shoot off the Yemen's ballistic missile, and it took it out somewhere over Jordan or Saudi Arabia tonight. So this is the second time in 33 hours that Yemen has launched a hypersonic ballistic missile at Israel. And the reason they did that rocket alert at 10 p.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Israel time, is because all those people had to flee out of their bomb shelters and the rocket get away from it because they were worried about the shrapnel coming back to Earth. So that's what's going on over there. This was another strike tonight in Yemen, and you can see when the United States strike hit, you can see the rockets that are firing on their own by themselves from the fire that detonated these rockets and missiles to go firing. So that was actually another interceptor of the missile going up tonight. So the Arrow 3 atmospheric thing went off, and Israel's now safe. Let's get to something just where I can pause it so I can even just say hi to you guys again. Anyway, so that's all I have for you guys tonight. I didn't do my face on the picture time, but guys, we need to keep an eye on this because there's so much going on, not only with Israel, and Yemen came out tonight, earlier today, and said that, the way that the United States continues to hit Yemen and the Houthis, they're going to start taking their anger and launching rockets towards friends of the United States and Israel. And that includes Saudi Arabia. That includes the United Arab Emirates. And Saudi Arabia has been fighting Yemen and the Houthis for years. So the Saudi Arabia is very pleased right now that the United States is doing what it's doing in attacking the Houthis and taking out these Iranian-based guys. So we're going to have to keep an eye on everything with Israel. We've got to keep an eye with everything on the Houthis because that could get kind of squirrely. I have a feeling Iran could start getting into play again. Iraq. There's a bunch of jihadists there in Iraq, and there's a bunch of Iranian proxies there that are just, they're salivating, ready to launch stuff at Israel as well. We've got to keep an eye with everything going on in Syria with all its madness, and now tonight with Turkey and Erdogan. We'll see what happens there. But guys, that's all I had for you tonight. Let's get this uploaded, and thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.